Okay, welcome back to the second half. This one won't be as long. What I did is I right clicked, and when you do right click, this represents your context menu, and you could choose duration, which is the first option. And from the duration, you could go through and you could change it from the default of 5 seconds down to whatever number you want, like 1 second or 1.5 seconds or a half second. You could also do like what I'm showing right here, where you could go through and you could mouse over between the two frames and just drag it to make one scene longer or shorter. What I'm doing right now is I'm dragging over pieces of the audio track to get it out of the way as I go through and make adjustments to my photo montage. The reason for the audio track start getting separated was when we started shrinking, or we started increasing the size of our one frame of our photo montage. That goes through, and that also affects the audio track down there. So that's why I moved him out of the way. So you could either right click and choose duration like I did and change the number for how many seconds that you want the photo montage to be, or you could just drag it over. Now what I'm doing is I actually drag the timeline. So you saw my mouse up there on the timeline itself, and I drug it to the right, and that allowed me to go through and actually get a better view of my overall time of my video. But when you go and you drag it to the right, you're going to end up seeing what I call a micro level of your flow. When you drag it to the left, you're going to end up seeing less information. Now, when you go and play it, you're not seeing it in the upper right because it's a dynamic. At least for my screen capture, it didn't capture it. But it will actually go through and it will actually show your photo montage playing. Now I'm dragging over pieces of the audio track. And last summer, before I started messing around with things like this with my actors, I was terrified to go off and do editing. But after spending hours and hours messing around with things like this last summer, I got really comfortable with it. And I always go and say, if I could do this, anybody can. So I get ready, I play, and when I play, now it's supposed to go through and it'll match up between my audio track and my photo montage. And this is the part that's going to be very time consuming to go off and do. I mean, it could be like Robert Hosking. This will probably take 2 or 3 weeks to go off and do. Probably eight solid hours a day. Now, let's see, what else was I going to do here? And there are more advanced products out in the market, like I said. Adobe After Effects is probably one of the best ones. I know this is better than the Microsoft product that they give you, but Apple has one too. I think it's iMovie that you can use. Now what I do is, once I got the video that I want, I go through and I choose Produce, which is that button that you saw me press, and it'll give me a pop-up. And then here I'm able to go through and I can choose File, choose Next, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be creating how I want my output to look like, my edited output. So they give you a lot of options, and that first one you can't see it very well, but it's like an MP4, and I think that's one of the options that Amazon accepts. And you go through and you type in the name of the file that you want, and you click on Save. And what it will end up doing is it will actually go through and compile all of your edited videos down in your workspace into a single video. And then you could be able to go through and upload it. It's very entertaining. And pretty much any piece of software that I ran across for editing does almost the same thing. Some things do it better than others. AVS Video Editor, I like. And it's